English 101 students, this is Miss Alsamani. Welcome to another video. We're going to discuss the literary analysis essay. So this is your next essay for this class. Literary analysis is essentially when you read a piece of literature and you analyze it. So you give your own opinion about the literature. A lot of times you focus on a specific aspect of the literature to discuss. So I've got some topic ideas on here for analyzing The Cask of Amontillado. The Cask of Amontillado is written by Edgar Allan Poe. It's a short story that really only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to read. I've got the link for the short story in an audio version, both in Blackboard and week 4 for content. So definitely read the story, listen to the audio if you like to listen to audio, and then delve into this paper, because with this being a mini term, we don't have much time on the paper. But essentially you get to read the short story and tell me what you think about it, what your point of view is on this story. So, this type of essay analyzes a literary work by picking an aspect, so that could be a theme, tone, characters, symbolism, and illustrating an argument for the reader using textual evidence. So that could be dialogue, so that's whenever the characters are talking to one another, or a description. So the description could be a description of the setting, description of characters, essentially it's when the author is describing something in the story. So you can use any of those types of things for evidence for your argument. The writer should assume that the reader has read the work. One of the most common mistakes in these essays is that writers, especially freshman comp writers, will want to summarize way too much of the story. Assume that I've read the story, assume the reader's read the story, because everyone in this class has, or at this point whenever you get to your rough drafts, you'll have all read the story. So assume we've read it and analyze it instead of summarizing it. The writer will prove a point without too much plot summary. If a part of the plot is summarized, it's to make a point for the overall argument. So if you do need to summarize an aspect of the story, it needs to be something that's proving your point. It's a piece of evidence at that point, not just to summarize for the sake of summarizing. Notice that the rough draft is due on Thursday, June 18th. That can be a pretty rough draft. I know that that's not much time. We've only got a few days on this essay, but that's part of having a 5-week course with a mini term. So the final draft due date is Tuesday, June 23rd, so you'll have a few days to revise it. Notice that it's 100 points possible and it's 20% of the final grade. Notice also that essay should be between 500 and 750 words in length, so it's the same length you had for the descriptive narrative, so it's not very long, essentially about the length you would need to prove an argument. The formatting is the exact same as all the essays so far, 12-point Times New Roman font, double-spaced with MLA heading and style, and I'll remind you, MLA, you can check out page 161 in the Seagull book for an example of the MLA heading. The below topics are the ones that will be based off Cask of Amontillado. It's themes in the literary work. So some of the most common themes in this short story are revenge, murder, death. Those are really some of the most common themes, but obviously if you pick out some other themes, that's fine as well. Some people like to focus on how, well, I don't want to plot spoil, but focus on kind of the treachery that the two characters have for one another. So some of the tones are like when you read the story, a lot of Edgar Allan Poe's stories in particular have macabre tones. They're really dark in nature. There's usually some form of murder. It's almost like good Halloween literature, honestly. But the tones are what the story makes you feel, essentially. What are the emotions? So dark, dreary, macabre, those kind of words, essentially, are types of tones. Foreshadowing is whenever there's hints of what's going to happen at the end of the story throughout the story. So there is foreshadowing in the Cask of Amontillado. There's several hints on what happens at the end. And I won't say what happens at the end because I don't want to plot spoil. But as you're reading the story, there's several moments where there are like Edgar Allan Poe's nudging you to see what's going to happen at the end. So that's foreshadowing, essentially. Hints on what's going to happen at the end of the story. Protagonists are heroes. There's really only 2 characters in this short story, Fortunato and Montresor, and so you can choose which one you think is the protagonist. Some students choose one over the other, so it's kind of there's a gray area with these 2 characters. So, but you can focus on who you think is the protagonist of the story, or you could focus on the antagonist or the villain of the story. So if you wanted to choose one of the characters to really focus in on and analyze, that's fine as well. And symbolism is one of the most common topics I see as well. Symbolism is when an item stands for something larger than it is. So like a rose usually symbolizes love. A skull symbolizes death. You know, there's those items that symbolize ideas, essentially. And there's several symbols in this story, so I won't get into it too much at risk of plot spoiling the story, but there's a lot of items in here that represent larger ideas. So the final draft late submission rule still stands, hasn't changed for any of the assignments. Also, they are going to be graded with the grading rubric and to be scanned with anti-plagiarism software, so you don't need any outside sources for this essay. It's 100% your opinion of the short story, so please don't be tempted to look at Schmoop or SparkNotes or anything like that, because there's a good chance that if you quote from one of those or pull some of their ideas that it gets flagged for plagiarism. So just 100% once you read the story, start making notes on your own. Don't look online, because there's a chance that you could accidentally plagiarize if you do that. So as always, if you have any questions about this assignment, feel free to send me an email, give me a call, anything. I'm here to help you through this assignment, especially for those of you that might not have written about literature in the past. I'm really want to guide you through this assignment. So, but if you have written about literature and you feel pretty good about it, that's fantastic as well. So I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.